When it is matters concerning waste, probably this is what you think of. But have you ever thought of where your phone goes when the shelf life is over? How detrimental can the wrong disposal of your phone be to your health and the environment? Now, I admit I have a few phones, tablets and laptops in my possession. Some that work, others not so much. But am I the only one? How many phones have you owned since your first ever phone? 3, 4, 6. Oh, because I personally have had around 8 phones and I can only locate 3 that are lying around the house. But have you ever thought about how much risk you put yourself in by not properly disposing of these gadgets as well as other electronics? Come, let's find out how to dispose of that iron box that you do not use anymore. Oh, and that refrigerator that malfunctioned a year ago. Oh, and those phones too.
Okay, to be honest, I don't know. Some of them I've given them out. Others, they're still in the house. Maybe 2 or 3. 2, 3, yeah, 3.
So letting them lie around, is that your way of disposing them now that they don't work anymore?
Yeah, I think so.
Kuna zingine zinapotea na kuna zingine nasaidianga marafiki. Alifika ziko kwa nyumba.
Nimekuwa na simu kama 5 hivi. Sasa zingine watu washa inherit. Nishawaachia. Zingine zikapotea pia.
About 3 phones. The first one nilipeana, ya pili niliuza.
Today, we shed a light on the disposal of e-waste and why we should be careful about where we dispose of our e-waste. Now, like many people I met on the streets, I am sure you too have a few gadgets lying around. Before these items get to end of life, I am also sure you must have tried a local fundi. I'm in the Nairobi Central Business District looking for one of those. Meet Melvin, who has been doing repairs of phones and computers for almost 2 years now, right here in the Nairobi CBD. I am curious to find out how much waste he collects from his daily activities.
About the computers, simu zenye nime repair almost 1,000 plus. Let's say the computers are about let's say 100 or 150, because the computers are not, phones are many, the computers are a little bit scarce.
Tuseme ukikuja uambie customer hii whatever laptop yako ama item yako imenishinda. So what do you do from hapo?
Okay, so kuna parts mbili. Kuna hizi yenye tunapeana kwa pawn shops zenye mtu unauza at a lower price. Pawn shop anawezaenda kutumia ama anawezaenda kutumia venye anataka. And then there's this other tunaweza peana hizi like tunapea mtu wa repairs. So kuna parts zenye ukiwa na laptop, kuna kama RAM, kama nini, kunaweza reuse kwa laptop ingine. So hizo sasa tunaweza pea mtu wa repair.
Na zile parts zenye umetoanisha, for instance, kwa hii machine umeamua hizi na hizi nitapeana kwa pawn shop ama kwa mtu wa repairs, but sasa hizi nitatupa. Wewe una dispose aje hizo parts zenye haunid?
So hizo zenye hazitumiki kabisa, at times tunaziweka kwa trash. So hizo trash tunazipeleka kwa the trash place. So the relevant authorities watakuja kuzi.
Now, recent data indicates that the global e-waste annual generation is equivalent to throwing out 1,000 laptops every single second. This means that in the 8 seconds I used to say that line, the world has discarded e-waste equal to more than 8,000 laptops. Now, the amount of e-waste is bound to rise as people embrace the shift to e-learning and remote working as precautionary measures against the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, a shift that was projected to go beyond 2021. Closer home, recent data from the Communication Authority shows that the number of active SIM cards stood at 62 million, which could loosely translate to an equal number of handsets. This is a 12% increase from March 2020. A 2018 ICT survey by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics showed that in all the 8 regions, over half of the population had access to mobile phones, except Northeastern at 41%. With the rise of internet consumption comes the rise of new gadgets like the smart TVs. Data from the Bureau further indicates that over 20% of the population in Nairobi, Central, Rift Valley, Coast, Eastern, Western, Northeastern and Nyanza regions own televisions. With data pointing to a booming number of gadgets from smart TVs to phones and even home appliances comes an increase in reliability to these gadgets. Question is, what happens when they reach their end of life? These are like 30 messages from my WhatsApp in the last 5 minutes. Anyway, we'll get back to that. So the need to communicate just like this is one of the reasons the number and demand for electronic gadgets has been on the rise. Of course, in line with a growing digital economy that is growing faster than overall economies, especially in developing countries like ours. In entrepreneurship, they say entrepreneurs come into the game to fill a gap in the market. And that's why institutions like We Center has set up shop. But let me not tell you too much about it. Let's talk with one of the founders. Come, let's do this. Started 9 years ago, the We Center has been on the forefront of combating e-waste.
As an organization, we run a social enterprise. We are running e-waste management program for the betterment of the society, and in a manner that helps in improving the social and economic circumstances of community members, especially the youth, as we manage the environment to reduce the bad effects of e-waste on human health and also the environment as well. We have so far processed close to 10,000 tons of electronic waste, and that translates to close to around 14,000 tons of CO2 avoided over the years.
It would be okay if you talked to the viewers in terms of what type of waste they can dispose of at the bins, because there could be someone who's thinking it's just my phone that I can dispose. However, they have maybe a television that doesn't work or something else. What type of waste qualifies to go into the bins once they are set?
Generally, we have 10 categories of electronic waste that are narrowed down to 6, but for the household consumers and disposers of electronic waste, they are basically portable items that they have. You have a dead mobile phone, you have battery from your phone, from your spotlight, from your remote, even the remote itself, you have a tablet, you have this small, anything that uses electricity. Electrical.
Does my iron box qualify?
Yes, it does. Electrical and electronic. And as long as it can fit in the bin, you drop it there. For the large household appliances, such as fridges and other things, we have a collection plan. A logistics team would be able to get in touch with you once you notify us that you have something to be collected. We'll be able to map the area and get to know who is where and who has what. Once we know the quantities that are supposed to be collected, we dispatch the logistics team to do a circuit collection of these items.
I know that the e-waste falls in a wide range, from mobile phones to iron boxes and even fridges. What do we recycle them to once you have received them at the center?
Once we receive these electronic devices, we take them through our processing chain. We take the details of the devices that have been received, serial numbers, weight, the disposer, and many other things. And after that, we move them to dismantling section, that is pre-processing. We'll be separating major components. We mostly do manual dismantling. So plastic will be on its own, glass, metal, printed circuit board, cables, and other things. From there, we move to the machinery section, where we have equipment designed for specific fractions. We have one that processes plastic, another one would be processing the cables. We have another one that will be processing the CRTs. Another one will be crushing the glass. And when you get to our facility, you'll have a very clear understanding of our operations and the end product that gets out of our processing chain. The ones that we can't process locally, there are problematic fractions. We have partners in Europe, and through our engagement, we are able to ship those problematic fractions for treatment. E-waste management is not cheap. E-waste management is not easy. There's a cost to it. And that is why we always encourage major disposers to facilitate the cost of e-waste processing and treatment of electronic waste. It's a problem now. We're looking at how the legal framework could be reinforced to have this done in a structured way also. And I'm very happy that Ministry of Environment and NEMA, they're working very hard, very closely to make sure that the waste management bill is passed in Parliament. And once we have that, we'll be able to work with we'll have something that is enforceable. We'll have a law that will push and ensure that all the disposers take charge of the pollution that they cause. It is based on polluter pay principle. And those who generate a lot of e-waste, get it to our communities, should be able to cover the cost of treatment when they reach end of life.
As such, technology and consumer electronics company Nokia was among the pioneers of e-waste take-back programs close to a decade ago. 8 years later, and the number of electronics has more than doubled, with an estimated 35 million people using electronic devices, mainly mobile phones, as at 2020. I take a look around the farm just to see how the process works, and Nahashon was glad to take me around. Just recently, telecommunications giant Safaricom, who injects an estimated 1.2 million handsets into the market annually, launched its e-waste management program.
There are people, yes, who have been approaching us. They even call us to dispose their e-waste. And now you see the e-waste the quantity is very small. And it doesn't make economic sense to fuel a vehicle to go to a place that is probably 6-8 kilometers away to pick ironworks or pick a laptop. That is why we are setting up collection centers. We are partnering with like-minded organizations, Safaricom, Carrefour, and others, to have convenient locations where people can drop their e-waste.
With electronics and electrical products manufacturers in their dozens operating in Kenya, what are they doing about waste from their operations?
The awareness though is still very low, but Samsung is making an effort to make sure that we notify our customer through our dealers and through our repair centers that even though a product is old, maybe the part is no longer available or our customer doesn't need anymore to use it, we also trace them back and advise customer to return to us. Some of them return and we do depreciate the product. Of course, it's not worthless, it's not zero value. We depreciate and give a credit note to customer. Customer can top up and take our latest products. So a good example, for instance, we have a campaign called Trade-in campaign. We're giving a chance to our S-series customers who own the S-series, the likes of S9, S8, and also Note series customers, and A80, model called A80. We're giving a chance to customer that should you have a product that is faulty, is still usable, but it's old. Either it has a cracked screen, but still can power on. Return to us, we will give you a chance to top up and get S21, which is our latest flagship model. So the discount is 28,000 Kenya shillings. If you return to us in any form, as long as it's still usable, you get a discount for 28,000 Kenya shillings, and then you can get the S21 series.
The issue of e-waste disposal is, however, not a reserve for Kenya, as countries the world over rush to put in place mechanisms of ensuring manufacturers take responsibility for the waste related to their businesses. But why should you be concerned about e-waste management? That's why. Apart from death, trauma and destruction of property, why is this your business? You know, it looks like some wedding.
E-waste is not just like any other waste. It's the quantity is small in terms of the volume of waste that is generated, yes, but it's the most toxic of waste that we have around, because the components of these electronic devices, especially the motherboard, has a lot of very many elements, toxic elements that are partly carcinogenic, because when you are exposed to them, there's a potential of you getting exposed to elements that can cause cancer, and they also have very severe effects, some that may even alter the DNA of human beings, and they are also very severe with women who are pregnant and children. So generally there are severe effects of e-waste that people do not understand, and when we don't dispose them properly, when we don't take care of them, we end up exposing ourselves and exposing people who are around us.
Na those zinaweza fit kwa zile small section yenye tuliona pale. Kuna vitu that they can be used here.
The menace is, however, compounded in low and middle income countries by the need for high-tech equipment at a cheaper price, hence an influx of counterfeit products whose life cycle is shorter than genuine products. The question therefore is, what are stakeholders in the tech space doing to contain the situation?
Mainstream media, social media, print, and all other avenues, including roadshows, to sensitize the public on the dangers of e-waste and why and how it should be properly managed. We are also engaging various state departments to help in the sensitization. Like now, we are having an engagement with the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of Government Services, and we have the green light to place e-waste drop-off bins or collection bins in all the 47 counties, and I believe that that will create a lot of awareness, one, to the government agencies and anybody else who will be visiting those facilities to get other services. Once you see a bin and you see e-waste, then you'll be like, what is this e-waste? When you look at it, you'll see like somebody's disposing electronic waste, and of course that is what we really need to do if we want to achieve that level of sensitization for people to know that this e-waste should be disposed.
It starts from a deliberate choice of materials that are recyclable from the design stage, and at the same time also after the products lands in our market, we also make an effort, especially during the repair of a product, when a customer comes back to claim for warranty service. There is the chance that we repair the product and collect used parts that are faulty. We collect deliberately through our repair centers across the region, and then collect to our warehouse, as you saw downstairs, in readiness for proper disposal. At the same time, also for all the products that are in the market, some of them are not repairable or beyond economic repair. When we replace for our customers, we also collect those old products and assemble them here in our warehouse in readiness for pre-scrap and handing over to our e-waste company.
What can you do? We reached out severally to the National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA, on what policies it has in place in order to curb the growing e-waste menace, but we got no word by the time this piece was released. World Count, a live world statistics platform, indicates that in the first 19 days of January 2022, the world had produced over 2 million tons of electronic waste. If it took the world over a century to feel the effects of poor plastic waste disposal, effects of which the globe is still trying to contain, how much does the globe need to do to avert the looming e-waste crisis with an estimated 50 million tons of electronic and electrical waste produced annually? Get this, the 50 million tons weighs more than all the commercial airliners ever made annually.